Hello everybody, and I'm sorry I've kind of been delayed in this a little bit. I think there's been a bit of a gap between my second video and this video, but today I want to take the chance to sit down and bring you a third video here on I think I'm going to probably do two more after this, but this will be my third video on my heart surgery journey, kind of what to expect at each step of the process, and some hopefully helpful information again for those who may face it at some point, and also just to share a little bit about my journey. So I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go to the post-ICU part of your recovery. I think that's where I kind of left off last time in the ICU. And so you have your surgery, you wake up, and when you wake up, you will be in ICU. And it's honestly a great place to be because you've had such a big surgery and you're going to get the really great attentive care that you're going to need. And you're going to be, the nurses there are going to have the ability to focus in on that for you. So, but they don't want you to be in ICU forever. And I can recall I was in ICU the day I came out of my surgery that day. So later that day I was in ICU that night, and then I was in ICU all day Saturday. And then my move happened. So, and I can recall being nervous about that move because I was just like, oh, I've been getting such great care here in ICU, and now I'm gonna be stuck up on a regular floor. It's kind of scary. And I remember the nurses telling me, you'll be fine. And I remember the nurses saying, you don't want to be in ICU. You're very well right now, and this is the last place you want to be if you're well. So you're going to be great. You're going to be in great hands. And so, I mean, it's probably a different floor or different area every place that you're in, no matter, I mean, that depends where you're living. But for me, here in London, Ontario, at University Hospital, where you go after your surgery, is the 6th floor. So that's where I went on the Saturday night. It was later Saturday night, too. I think it was like after 9 or something like that on that Saturday night. And so the ICU nurse will make sure you get up there. She takes you up in a wheelchair. She'll get you to your room, and then she'll hand you over to the nurses up there. So that's what's going to happen when you are coming out of ICU. Now, in terms of, I want to touch base too in terms of what it's going to look like, kind of what the timeline is in terms of what you have hooked up to you and what that's going to look like. So, let me see if I can find that here. Yes, it's right here. So I had my surgery on the 22nd. So from what I was told, I don't remember this, but from what I was told by my family, I had the breathing tube in till the next day. That's what I was told. So I don't know, they must have taken it out really early, if that's the case, because they must have taken it out really early, if that's the case, because what I was saying is I had breakfast brought around that morning too, and so I was able to eat. I didn't have the breathing tube in then, but this is what my family told me, that I had it in till the next day. So that's when that came out, and Saturday was really a big day for a lot of the stuff that came out. So this will be a day after your surgery, just a day. So it's not a long time. But what came out the day after my surgery was my chest tubes came out. And the chest tubes really aren't that big of a thing to come out. Trust me, that was one of the most comfortable things that came out. It wasn't really much of an issue of those coming out. The IV you have in your neck came out on that day as well. And then you had an IV. I had an IV in this arm here. It was a special IV. Had something to do with really having your blood pressure constantly monitored. But it was also, what I loved about this one here, especially when I had it in, is they took blood from it too when they needed to. And it didn't hurt. They didn't need to poke you. It was just right there. So that was really cool. I loved that aspect of that one. So anyway, so a lot of your stuff is going to be out probably within the next 24 hours after your surgery. That was kind of the case for me. My chest tubes, my neck IV, my blood pressure IV, and of course the breathing tube. Now, the catheter that you have in, for me, it came out on the Sunday, so 2 days after my surgery. And I think that's kind of what I hear generally for the catheter. It will be 48 hours for that to be in you. So that came out as well on the 24th. So that's when those things come out. Now let me tell you what life is like on the 6th floor a little bit. So when you get up to the 6th floor, you still have great care in that part of your recovery, but you just don't have the the ratio of the patients that nurses have to take care of is higher than what you have in ICU. So you will have to push a button on your bed for assistance, and you may have to wait a little bit. I could tell you a couple of stories about waiting a little bit. I mean, there was one night where I was in quite a lot of pain, and I was like, I need pain medication. I need pain medication. Sorry, I'm just talking funny, like kind of how I was. And so I buzzed them, and I told them, and they said, oh, we'll be there. Just hold on. We'll be there shortly with pain medication. But again, you have to wait. And it was kind of like, are they coming? Are they coming? And so that was one instance of just, you have to wait a little bit longer. And so when you're in recovery, it's pretty common standards when you're in the recovery on the 6th floor. Common things are going to happen very frequently. They're going to come, when they do their rounds, your vitals are going to be checked. So your blood pressure will be checked, your temperature will be checked, your heart rate will be checked. They will take blood from you daily. Usually during the night is when they do that. So that will happen. And so that's kind of what you would expect on that part of your recovery. You will be visited by a physiotherapist, should be anyway, and she will come around and ask you how you're doing. She will monitor kind of how you're moving. She will ask if you're walking. And once you get up to the 6th floor, the expectation is that you are walking. They want you up out of your bed, walking as much as possible. They'll give you a walker. At least they did me, and usually most people will. So that gives you the ability to have something to push and kind of not go too fast, but walk in those hallways around your room so that they want that pretty quickly. So that will happen too. Let me just tell you a little bit. I want to tell you, this kind of goes into the 6th floor bit in your recovery here. I'm going to share worst experiences and best experiences, and coming right out of my journal here that I wrote. Okay, so the first one here, it's just generally the first 2 days after your surgery is pretty miserable, generally speaking. It's misery. I wrote here, I call it hell on earth. So much more pain and suffering than I could have ever imagined. And while the hospital tries to help you, there is such a thing as giving too much pain medication. So they will give you pain medication, but They're not going to give it to you every half hour or anything like that because it's too much. I found it very hard on my back personally, being in the hospital too. I don't have the greatest back, and those beds are not comfortable, I found, and especially when you're propped way up, like, on your bed, you're sleeping like this, and that's not how I'm used to sleeping. It isn't comfortable. So that is one of the worst experiences, by far probably the worst. Coughing. So yeah, this will not be fun either. You need to clear out your lungs. You need to cough often. They will give you a pillow, a very tiny pillow. I thought it would be a huge pillow, but it's a tiny pillow. But you got this thing that you have to grasp every time that you cough. And you have to do it very often because it's just your chest has been opened right up. Your lungs have been kind of interfered with. Everything has been interfered with down there. So it's very important to cough, to clear the lungs out, and to kind of open them up too, so that they function normally. It's tiring, it's painful and sore, and it never seems to end. That's what I wrote. So yeah, that's not a good experience. Getting blood taken. Now, I'm kind of a lot more used to that now. I used to not really like that too much, but I'm kind of gotten used to it. But getting blood taken, when it takes half an hour, not overly fun. And that happened one night. And this kind of goes along with your recovery too. You will get swelling because you're hooked up to this machine in your surgery. Just the nature of your surgery, it will just put fluids into your body. And the only way that you get rid of them is through laxus medication. And it will take the swelling down, but it will go up quite a bit. And so my one arm was swollen too. So it made it, they didn't have as many options to go to for getting blood, I guess. And literally the one night, they were trying to get blood from me for half an hour. Yes. And that was not a fun experience. I was just like, they poked me. Nothing came, and then they had to keep trying to find veins, poke me again, nothing came, and I'm like, oh, it was kind of not fun, right? They felt bad. They were just like, oh, I'm so sorry about this, my friend. Oh, I'm so sorry about this, my friend. But hey, that's what happened there, so that wasn't fun. I will tell you two of the things that you have to, that at least for me, that were taken out of me, that probably were a little bit more on not the fun side. Was the catheter when it came out. I found the chest tubes were a lot more not as bad to come out, but the catheter, not the funnest. And I wrote, it seemed like a big thing to come out of such a little area. And then it was kind of irritable and sore for a while too, I found. So that's kind of a little bit maybe what you would expect with the catheter when it comes out. You do get back to normal. You'll be fine for most people, but again, not one of the greatest experiences. Also, I had a portable pacemaker that was attached to me, and that thing was really annoying. Definitely it wasn't fun when it came out, but it also was just annoying because I kept forgetting about it. So every time that I would get up or move somewhere or go to the bathroom, sometimes I forgot about it. I'm just like, and I feel this little yank on me a little bit. Like, it wasn't bad, but enough to remind me, right? And I was just like, oh yeah, that stupid pacemaker. I got to carry that pacemaker. That came out on the last day. I wrote, it hurt like the dickens. It seems like never-ending wires pulling out of my skin. I moaned in pain too. And then another thing that wasn't very pleasant was, I'm not going to go into details, but I'll just leave it at the aspect of I had to get a suppository on day 4 so that I could go to the bathroom because I hadn't to that point. And so they give you time, and then if it doesn't happen, that's what you have to kind of do. Not fun. And it was very hard too because I had to lay on my side when they did that, and that hurt too. So So those are some of the worst experience. I call it my worst experience I wrote down, so I want to share those. But there's always a good experience too, so I want to share these as well, okay? So, I already shared about my breathing tube. I didn't even know or was aware that my breathing tube was in to the next day. I wasn't even aware of it, so it was something I was really worried about having in for an extended amount of time, really worried about waking up with, but it wasn't really that much of a worry at all. So that was more of a pleasant experience than I thought. Now my cousin, who will probably watch this video, when she had her surgery, I heard she had some kind of dressing vacuum on her back that she had to always be carrying with her, like a vacuum backpack kind of thing for the dressings. I never had that. So I don't know whether it's just because my surgery wasn't as intense. I didn't actually have to get anything replaced. I just had repairs. But I didn't have that. And so I wrote down, I feel like that's a blessing. I don't think I needed more weight on my back, which was already being stretched to the core, as I already alluded to. My back was bothering me a lot in the hospital. So that was a good experience. The catheter, yes, it was not comfortable when it came out, but it was barely noticeable when I did have it in. Nowhere close to as uncomfortable as I first feared or imagined, I said. So it was good that was a good experience to hang your hat on. And then generally speaking, the care I always received was amazing. Every nurse was gentle, trying to help me and being on top of things. When I left the hospital, I made sure I told them that, and I thanked all of them for their great care. Some of my nights seemed like a weight in misery. And I already alluded to that. It kind of when I was in pain and I had to wait for them to come, and I was like, oh, are you coming soon? I need pain medication. But no, the nights seemed like that, but they were always trying to get to me as quick as they could, and I know that. So those were the pleasant experiences of my post-recovery surgery coming out of ICU. So that's kind of what you would expect. So when you're on the normal floor, you're not going to get quite as quick as service. You're not going to get the one-on-one attention you did in the ICU. You're still going to get your vitals checked a lot. You're going to be expected to walk as much as you can so that they can get you. They want you to do that so that you're ready to go home, basically. They will take blood daily, as I said. They also will give you a shot in the stomach. I forgot to mention that because you're laying around a lot and they don't want your blood to clot, so it's a blood thinner. It's not that bad, really. It's just right in your stomach, very quick. So those are the kind of things you would expect on your floor when you go to that floor for your recovery. Now, I just want to share briefly the post-op papers I got coming out of the hospital. They will give you post-op papers. It's kind of cool because it's a report on you. The report will list your latest vital sign results. It will list what medications you're taking home with you, if there's anything new. It will list where you're supposed to, where you remind you to follow up with your family doctor. For me, they got this report too, and they called me before I even called them. So I'll just read you a little bit about this. Mr. Jason Banks is a 50-year-old gentleman with asymptomatic aortic root dilation of the bicuspid aortic valve. How do you like that for medical terms? A lot of medical terms there. With a history of hemochromatosis. His echo demonstrated a functioning bicuspid aortic valve without significant stenosis or insufficiency. Transesophageal echo before operation suggested the valve was repairable. And he was entered into the Titan trial and was randomized to early surgery. Early surgery taking a year and a half to wait for, but that's early surgery. And then the surgery happened November 22nd, valve-sparing aortic root reconstruction with ascending aorta replacement. So they put in repairs on the bicuspid aortic valve. They detail what they are, and then they replaced the aorta with a 32 millimeter Dacron graft. So the aorta is a very nice size, and it's not going to be a concern. Post-operative course was relatively uneventful. The chest incision is clean, well approximated, dry, and intact. So there's a little bit about my discharge report. Just to, fancy words, but just to, I thought I'd read a little bit of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do for now. I'm going to leave off on that. Then I'm going to share a little bit about what it's like when you come home, and what your home care is going to look like, and what you would expect when you come home from that surgery. Now, what happened when I was in the hospital, it was my birthday too. I was discharged actually on my birthday. I had a great big party when I came home on my birthday. No, not really. I was in no shape to have a party or celebrate too much at all when I came home. But my wife decided to get a cardboard thing, and she made this wonderful card, and it's going to be something I treasure for the rest of my life, and I just want to share it. So she drew all this, my wife, so you can see there I just turned 50. It's got 50 there. It's got Zipper Club. It's got we love you, congratulations, feel better. Really cool stuff. And then my wife suggested have your nurses sign it. I didn't get the night nurses just because, you know, you're kind of half asleep during the night. It's dark, and it's just I didn't want to go there. But most of the people that took care of me in the daytime did sign it. And so that was really cool. So I got a lot of signatures here on the outside. And then I got signatures on the inside too. So there you go. So really cool stuff here. I love this card. I'll just share quickly a couple of my nurses. The nurse I had in ICU wrote, Jason, it was a pleasure to take care of you after this big surgery. Happy 50th birthday and keep up the hard work. Carly, RN. So yeah, that was my one nurse. Happy birthday, Jason. It was lovely to meet you. Good luck with everything. Tiana. That was a nurse I had in ICU. And then one of the day nurses I had signed it. I had them 2 days in a row. Jason, wishing you all the best in your recovery. You've made such good progress so far, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the past 2 days. Good luck and happy birthday. Naomi, RN. And then I had just a really simple one signed. The nurse I had on the last day, I asked him to sign it, and he just kept it basic and to the point. He basically wrote, Happy B-Day, Devon. That's all he wrote. But anyway, it's really cool. I have that, and I was able to have some of my nurses sign that, so that was really cool. So yeah, so that's what your post-ICU surgery recovery is going to look like probably. And then when you come home, you have a different thing altogether. So I wanted to share that. So I hope that you get something out of that, and I hope that there's some inspiration and some enlightenment from this as well. So again, don't know when the next one will come, but I'll bring you another video in terms of what the home aspect of things look like. And then probably another, I want to do one more video after that because I got a page of thanks written down. Just basically people who helped me after I got home, people who did various things to help both me and Lori. And so I wanted to share that as well. So anyway, hope you enjoy that. and look forward to talking to you again about what the heart surgery journey looks like when you come home.